And we are back, and boy oh boy do I hate Thursdays, because for the fourth Friday morning in a row I have to do this prediction video off the back of Manchester United disappointment. And if you missed last night's reaction video, go and have a look at it, because I did a massive scathing review of officiating in the Premier League right now. I just went in on the referees. I've had enough after what I saw last night from Andre Mariner and from what I've seen from other referees over the last few weeks. So if you missed that, it's had a lot of views already. So as always, thank you for your support on the recent videos. We've been doing really well recently, but make sure you check that one out, because I really do go in hard on refereeing in this country at the moment. And yeah, before we get into today's video, as always, drop a like on this video if you're enjoying my prediction series. Subscribe to the channel, share it with a friend, and ring the bell so you don't miss out on any of the other videos we've got coming up. We've got Champions League, Europa League, and of course more Premier League videos coming over the coming weeks before all of the different series we're going to have going on through the summer. So make sure you are subscribed so you don't miss out. And yeah, it is game week 35 now in the Premier League. Just 4 game weeks to go before the season wraps up, and it's another big opportunity to really see how this season's going to end up. It's all sort of starting to take shape now, but we're not quite there yet, and I think we could see some more twists and turns this weekend. We, of course, have the big return of Big Sam. He is back in the Premier League with Leeds United this weekend, with the seemingly impossible task of getting a result at Manchester City. So make sure you are sticking around to see what I go for that game, and let's just get straight into it. And we'll start off with Bournemouth taking on Chelsea. Now, if you'd have said to me earlier on in the season, or at the start of the season, that with 4 game weeks to go, if Bournemouth beat Chelsea, they would go above them in the league table, I'd have absolutely laughed at you. I just was utterly convinced Bournemouth wouldn't do anything this season, and obviously we all thought Chelsea would be in and around the Champions League places. So to be in the position that they're in, it's an incredible achievement for Bournemouth, but also a horrendous run of form for Chelsea. And I know we're not supposed to say the B word on YouTube for reasons, but let's just say I went to a few outlets over the last couple of weeks to see what the chances would be of Chelsea losing all of their remaining fixtures, and not a single one of the outlets would allow me to take up that particular chance. So I just think it could happen. I don't think Chelsea will get relegated, of course. I think they just about have enough points to survive relegation. But I think there's a very good chance Chelsea don't win or even get a point in any of their remaining fixtures. And that is going to be reflected in my prediction for today. I'm going to go for 2-0 to Bournemouth. They're playing very, very well. The only reason they might not win it is because they are pretty much safe themselves now. But I think Gary O'Neill want to push on and get above Chelsea, because that is an incredible achievement, as we already said. And I'm going to go for 2-0 Bournemouth, and we'll see what happens. On to Manchester City and Leeds, and of course, like we said at the start of the video, it is the return of Sam Allardyce to the Premier League, and there is no tougher task for any manager than going to Manchester City at the Etihad at the moment. Now, 2 good things to say about Leeds' chances. Obviously, Big Sam's record is incredible at keeping teams in the Premier League, and he has got a record of being very, very good defensively, and they drastically need that the way that they've been playing. Secondly, Leeds won at the Etihad last season with 10 men. So it's not beyond the realms of possibility that Leeds do get the result this weekend, but I really do think the way Manchester City have been playing, it would be the absolute shock of the season to see Leeds get the result here. And rather than Big Sam coming in and making that big initial impact, I think what we're going to see instead is he's going to get the realisation of the scale of the job that he's taken on. And I'm going to go for 4-0 Man City. They're beating everyone with ease at the moment, and I just think that's the way it's going to go. I wish Leeds the best of luck. It would be an incredible result, like I say. I just don't see it happening this early into Sam's tenure. Next up, it is Tottenham taking on Crystal Palace in a game that I think is relatively hard to predict. Palace's form has been a little bit more inconsistent recently, but they've been scoring goals for fun since Roy Hodgson took over. Tottenham, on the other hand, have been horrendous in first half of games, whilst being incredible in the second half of games. So, really makes it a topsy-turvy fixture to predict, and maybe I should be giving this game more goals than I have, but I'm going to go for 2-1 to Spurs. I think they should get the result. They obviously need the result, but with the pressure mounting on these players, will they once again fold under it? Next up, we have Wolves and Aston Villa in another game that I think is pretty hard to predict. Wolves' form has been better in the last couple of games once again, whereas Villa's incredible run has now started to just tail off slightly. So I think this is very, very tough to decide which way it's going to go. I have to look at games over the last, I would say, couple of months to say that Villa are probably the best team going into this game. So I am going to give Villa the win. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. I'm going to go for 2-1 as they look to keep their European chances alive. On to the evening game on Saturday, and a very, very bizarre weekend. We have Liverpool taking on Brentford. Now, again, I've said on multiple occasions over the last couple of weeks, I genuinely think Liverpool will win every game for the rest of the season. So I'm, of course, going to predict Liverpool to win this game, but Brentford is no easy task. Brentford are playing some fantastic football. Liverpool, as we know, defensively are not great still, despite the fact they are scoring goals, and Brentford are scoring a lot of goals themselves at the moment. But I just think Liverpool have too much in attack right now, and I think Brentford, as good as they have been playing, are just not quite going to have enough to stop Liverpool from getting another win. And I'm going to go for 3-1 to Liverpool. We shall see, but I just think Liverpool will end up edging it. On to, I believe, the first of Sunday's games, because, like I say, this weekend is very bizarre with the coronation and timings, and we have got 3 games on Bank Holiday Monday. So it is the earlier game on Sunday, although it's not until 4:30. So, like I say, very bizarre timings this week, but it is probably the main event of the weekend, if we're being honest. It's Newcastle against Arsenal. Arsenal have to win to keep their Premier League chances alive, especially given the fact that I think Man City will beat Leeds the day before. Newcastle, of course, need to win themselves to keep their distance from the chasing pack in the race for the top 4, but you just never know with football at the moment. Both sides are, I'm not so sure, but I think Newcastle will get the job done in this one. I know Arsenal have the pressure off now, but I didn't think they were that convincing against Chelsea. Obviously, in the first half, they got their goals, but second half, Chelsea could have scored a couple. And the way Newcastle are playing at the moment, especially at St James's, I just don't think Arsenal have it in them to get the result in this game. And I'm going to go for 3-2 to Newcastle. I think it's going to be a very open game. I think there's going to be a lot of goals in it. But at the end of it, I think Newcastle will end up beating Arsenal, which will then, for sure, end any debate over whether or not the Premier League title will be going to Manchester City. On to the late game on Sunday, a 7 o'clock kickoff for West Ham and Manchester United. And this is the prediction I've taken the longest time over making this morning, but I have to look at a couple of stats that put it in my team's favour. Firstly, despite how well West Ham have played recently, they have lost their last 2 games. Secondly, every single time Manchester United have lost this season, they have won the subsequent game. And I have to look at the league table, and I know for a fact that if we get 9 points from our last 5 games, we will get Champions League football for next season. And we've got 3, what I would say, very winnable home games. But this is an opportunity to really rubber stamp our credentials this weekend. And like I said, with the fact that West Ham lost last week and the fact that we have won every game after a game that we have lost, I'm going to go for 2-1 Manchester United and hope and pray that we get the job done, because then there really is a lot less pressure on us to get the top 4. But we shall see. Lose this game at the weekend and the pressure is really, really mounting ahead of those home games. On to Monday, and we have 3 games on Monday, starting with Fulham and Leicester. Leicester, of course, desperately looking for wins. Fulham, I don't think they've got any realistic chances of getting into the European places now. They're just more about keeping players sharp, keeping players fit, getting ready for next season. So it's an opportunity for Leicester to capitalise on a team that aren't really playing for too much. But the performances I've seen from Leicester recently do not fill me with any confidence. And I think Fulham have played fantastically well. They only lost to Liverpool due to a penalty. So they're playing well at the moment. And I think they beat Leicester, I have to be honest with you. And I think Leicester get plunged into deeper trouble. And I'm going to go for 2-1 to Fulham in the Monday Night Football. Next up, it is Brighton, who I don't really want to talk about after last night, taking on another relegation threatened side in Everton. And look, at the Amex, Brighton are immense. If they play like they did against Manchester United last night, they'll blow Everton away. I'm utterly convinced of that. And unfortunately for Sean Dyche, that's what I'm going for. And I'm going to go for 3-0 to Brighton and Hove Albion. Obviously, Everton could get something. I just don't think they've got it in them right now. So they themselves will also be plunged into deeper trouble. And finally, we have Nottingham Forest taking on Southampton. A game that I think if Nottingham Forest win, not only will it basically relegate Southampton, if not actually relegate Southampton, it will mean either I think Forest will end up pulling themselves away. With Leeds losing, with Leicester losing, and Everton losing, if Nottingham Forest win this game, they are pretty much clear of the relegation fight. And that is what I think is going to happen. I think Southampton are already gone. And as much as they will do everything in their power to fight, to survive, I think Nottingham Forest have too much defensively for them at the moment, especially at home, especially at night. You know, all the fan atmosphere in those evening games. I'm going to go for 2-0 to Nottingham Forest. And like I said, that all but relegates Southampton, leaves Everton, Leicester and Leeds in a very precarious place. And yeah, let me know, as always, your thoughts on my predictions. Sorry if I have been a bit scatty, like I said. I still haven't recovered from last night's game. So we'll see what happens this weekend. Thank you very much for watching. I'll be back tomorrow morning with my fantasy football team for the upcoming game week. Thank you very much for watching.